Hi, in this video we're going to take a look at a site called Sutori, and that's Japanese for story. Now this is an updated version or revised version of a site that's existed for a period of time called History, H-S-T-R-Y. And this is the new version, but it serves a lot of the same functions. Now History was an online timeline maker, and this particular new site, Sutori, follows pretty much the same pattern, except perhaps a little more flexible and definitely updated as far as its interface. Okay, so to start out with, I've already created a teacher account and I've logged in. So you can see there's a log out here, which means I'm already logged in, and an option to go to dashboard. And you can see extremely simple interface. I have really two options here. I can add a class at this point because I do not yet have a class, or I can create a story myself. Now you'll see that there's another link for show archived classes, and if I click on that, you'll see that there was a class in here at one point. I previously created one and then I archived it. So when you're done with your classes, you can kind of put them away and put them at a site if you'd like. So let me click on add a class. I need to choose a grade level. So you can see from my grade level choices that it can be anything from grade 1 through college. Or other. Other as well, if something doesn't quite fit in neatly into those categories. And I create the class. Okay, now I could make a story now, and I could include that in the class, or I could have students make stories. If I look over on the right, I have an option to edit the class. It just brings me back to those same options with the addition of archiving it. So this is where I would go if at some point in the future the class was over and I wanted to kind of take it off my board. You can see that there's a summary. How many students are in the class, how many class stories I've created, and how many student stories have been created and added to the class. It provides you with a code. This code is used for students to join the class, and we'll look at that in a few minutes. And that's basically it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this down so that I have it for later. Perhaps I'll just paste it over here for now. So there it is. Okay, and I'm going to begin my first story as a teacher. I'll go back to teach. I'll come down and I will create a story. First thing I'd like to do is add an image up at the top, and that is a banner image. So preferably I'd get something that was fairly wide, was a good size. I have something here that's probably not quite adequate. And you can see that if you use that, it becomes a little pixelated. The picture wasn't really big enough, but it gives you an idea. Okay, so I can give it a title, and then I can give it a description. You can see I have some basic tools available to me through the description, so I can bold, italic, underline, or make it into either a bulleted or a numbered list, or I can just simply type here. Whatever I want to say. You can also put a heading over the story itself if I'd like. That is optional. And then there'll be a series of options in this plus sign for adding elements to my story. Now my story really is going to appear as a timeline. But as I said, it doesn't have to be strictly a timeline. You do have some flexibility, but it is going to travel from beginning to end along this line, the center line. So let's hit a plus and see what kind of options we have. A lot, actually. Text, image, video, audio, and then a series of different things that perhaps we're going to take a look at. Okay, so text. Now, if I wanted to function more like a timeline, I simply can use dates. Now remember, students can do this as well. So it's just a matter of you setting up the format that you'd like. There is also an option here to hyperlink. So if I were to highlight that and I had an address, I could paste the link in here. So let's go do that. Okay, so there's a Wikipedia link. I'm going to copy that. And I can come back and I can edit this. So I can take some word in there and actually link to that site. So when I click off, that becomes a hyperlink for my students. Okay, let's take a look at some other options. Here's image. I'm just going to grab a random image from the computer, but obviously students would have researched this and saved an appropriate image. There you go. As before, you can leave there's a place here to leave credits. And you can put a description. And the same tools are available to you along this toolbar here. Okay, let's look at adding a video. Now when you go to add a video, you don't have choice of unlimited sources. You must take it from YouTube and you must know what that video is in advance. So I'm going to come over here, do a little search. I like this. This is a National Geographic documentary. So I'm just going to grab that link and use that here. Video description. And your basic tools if you'd like to use them. Now notice there is a trash can and an icon to say that you can move this. So the way they work is if I were to grab this, I can put it on another place on my timeline. So to select something that's already in place, let's take this one. Just come up and click on it, and then you should be able to drag it to a new location on the timeline. Now to some degree, it'll decide whether it's going to be on the right or the left, but you can order them. So here, when you click on it, you will get a remove option as well. And when you click on it, if I click on it from the center, it's just going to play. But if I want to edit its position, remove it, etc., I'm going to click near the corner. And I can drag it. See if I'm below that other one, it will reorder for me. We'll try the same thing over here. There we go. Now they're back in the original order. I can also simply click remove if I no longer want something on my timeline. Let's look at some additional options. Audio. This would be something you recorded and uploaded, or something you found on the internet, downloaded and uploaded. So I'm not going to go through the process of putting everything up there, but if you have an audio file, a podcast or something you'd like to include, you're going to have to upload that. This option for Did You Know is just a pre-formatted block that allows you to put in some a fact. I don't know what the actual number is, so I'll have to look that up. You have your normal toolbar here, and you can also add an image to this particular one. So I don't even know what that is. Hopefully it's, there you go. Actually, semi-appropriate image. Now, again, if I decided I didn't want that audio here, I don't have the audio I thought I had, I can just click on it and hit the trash can, and that will remove it. Sometimes there's a remove button. If I do hit remove, in this case, it's going to remove the image, but not the block, so it would allow me to put a different or the same picture back in there. But if you want to remove it entirely, you're going to click that trash can in the corner. Okay, you can stick a little multiple choice question in here. Okay, and you can put in an explanation when the answer is correct. You can, of course, remove choices if you've misentered something, and also add an image here. You can put a drag and drop question in here, and this is really a matching question. Okay. So you match it up. I'm going to put the country name here, and then the answer here. And I'll just do a couple. Look that up on Wikipedia as well. And you could put an image here if you'd like. Or not, and an optional explanation. Okay. Other options include a forum, which is just an open-ended question. And the last option becomes a heading. So just as we had a heading, an optional heading up here, we can section off our timeline by adding headings wherever we'd like. I'm going to remove that one because I don't need it. Yes, I'm sure. Now, how can I share this out? I could either click the share button, I could make it public, meaning that anybody could search for it and find it. I could add it to my classes, and currently I have one class, so I can add it there. I can choose to collaborate with other people just by inviting them with their email address, or if they have a Sutori account, their username would be fine. And additional options are to print, copy, or delete the story. So this is where you would come if you've written a story and maybe you've used up a lot of space, and there is a limited amount of space with the free edition, and you wanted to clean it up. You could do that. Okay, let's look at this from different perspectives. So we've been in the teach area here. If I come back to my dashboard, you can see here is my class. If I go into my class, there's a class story now. See that I have one class story. I still have no students. I'll correct that in a second. And then here's my story if I wanted to come in and work on this or edit it. Okay, let's take a look at the general navigation and layout here. There is an option to upgrade. And you can see there are several options actually. There's premium and unlimited, and that basically gives you more space and some more functions that you can perform. I believe it's up to 200 stories you can have in the free account, with a certain amount of a limit on space as well. But enough to get started. If you were using this in a very major fundamental way all the time, then perhaps the upgrade would be justified. Okay, there's of course a link to your profile, which is very simple. A couple of choices there, a couple of options. Main toolbar here, when you go to teach, that brings you back, shows you your classes, shows you your stories, allows you to enter and edit either one. Explore has a series of stories that are already created. Now notice that some of them are free, a couple of them are free for example, but the majority of them here, which are well done, would require that you upgrade. So just so that you're aware. And there's actually a bundle of them. So there's a series of different stories. There's also community stories, and these are ones that people have made public and shared. So there's the Reformation. I'm not sure what that one is. So let's check one out. And there's a storyline with some nice graphics, etc. Now I could simply add this one to my class, but to do so I have to make a copy of it. So if I copy the timeline, there you go. I can now add to my class. Which world history period 1? Sure. Okay, the third option is a help option, and that brings you to their help center. Some basic ideas about how to work, but the site, one of the great advantages of this site, it is so ridiculously easy to use. Your options are limited and laid out before you, but you can do a lot with the tools that they give you. Now, to look at it from a student perspective, I've actually come and logged in as a student on a separate account, and basically all you have to do is you have to join a class. So let me go back and get that class code that I copied earlier. So there it is. I'll just copy that and paste it in here and join the class. It gives you a little check. Yes, do I want to be in Mr. Sutori's Social Studies class? Yes, I do. And now I'm in the class. I can create my own story, or I can see the two stories that have been laid out here for me. So if I go to my World War I story, it loads right up. I can do all that. Notice I have a multiple choice question here. I can add comments if I like. And that drop and drag question works like this. We didn't actually see that in action before. Notice it turns green if it's correct, or red if it's incorrect. I'm going to share my opinion. Okay, so great little site, nice tool, allows students to create their own product or for you to present the material along a timeline model.